Good afternoon. Welcome to the Board of Public Education inauguration ceremony. It is December 2nd, 2019, and we're in council chambers in City Hall. To begin tonight, I wanted to just speak a little bit about, or rather to thank everyone who's present today for joining us, fellow board members, district staff, city councilors, Mayor Snyder, and of course members of our community and members of the Portland Public Schools. It is an exciting day where we kick off on another year of work in this board and continue to support Portland Public Schools as the largest and most diverse district in Maine. I'll ask the superintendent to please call the roll.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Atkinson?
Here.
Mr. Balfons?
Here.
Ms. Bondo?
Présente.
Ms. Davis?
Here.
Ms. Figdor?
Here.
Ms. Morioni?
Here.
Ms. Thompson?
Here. She's here for me too.
Ms. Trevorrow?
Here.
Mr. Inabanza? Mr. Norris?
Here.
Ms. Power-Rakowski? Mr. Samuntu?
Présent.
Mr. Abdirahman?
Here.
And Chair Rodriguez.
Presente. Next, we'll have the national anthem performed by Hannah Dustin from Portland High School and music teacher Peter Stickney. Will Hannah Dustin please join us at the dais to perform the national anthem?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Oh, wasn't on.
Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Gabriel Umbavi and Max Morioni. You guys want to come up to the dais? Yes. Let's turn on.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen. For the remarks of the chair, I want to just thank everyone for first honoring me with the opportunity to serve as chair for the last year. We've accomplished a lot this year. We've gone through a challenging budget season, and we collaborated with the City Council and community members to pass one of the largest increases in funding for Portland Public Schools. We stuck to our commitment to the Portland Promise goals, and we stuck to our vision of keeping our students' best interest as the centerpiece of our work. I'm proud to be part of this team. I'm proud of the superintendent as a partner for us in this team, and of course all the hard work that our educators in our buildings do, all the efforts that our students put in their education, and of course this community that so strongly supports public schools. Again, it's been an honor to serve as chair for the last year, and I thank you for trusting me with that opportunity. Next, we're going to recognize one of our outgoing board members. I think I have a couple of board members that want to speak to recognize Ms. Davis' 9 years of service in this board, which, by the way, were followed by, I believe, 11 years working for the district. So we have a total of 20 years of commitment and sacrifice, again, towards supporting Portland Public Schools. A commendable amount of work that she's accomplished. Ms. Thompson, I believe you have some words prepared.
For the last 9 years, Lori and I have served on the school board together. We have dealt with some very challenging times, but also have shared some really good times. It's amazing when you look back over the last 9 years and recall what we've accomplished as members of this board. It can be mind-boggling at times, for sure. We don't very often stop to think of our accomplishments because we are continually moving on to the next item at hand. With the many things we've dealt with, I always knew I could touch base with Lori and get her perspective on whatever the topic at hand might be. At times, Lori and I did not agree, but more so than not, we found that we did see many things the same, but our approach and thought process were just different. I always appreciated running something by Lori and hearing from her a confirmation of what I was thinking, or having her walk me through her thinking, which at times I was like, I never thought of it that way, or I never would have thought about that. Lori has never been one to sit idly by and not convey what was on her mind. Sometimes I would glance over at Lori and know something was brewing by just looking at her facial expressions. Sometimes you knew what Lori was thinking because she would process her thoughts out loud to herself. You sometimes didn't know if she was interjecting her thoughts then or just processing what was being discussed to herself. Mostly it was herself, but she was always thinking. With Lori being one of the longest serving members of the board with me, I knew I could ask her something of historical nature and have her remind me of its context or help me put pieces together of something that I only remembered bits and pieces of. Prior to Lori being a board member, she worked for the Portland Public Schools in our central office for 11 years, as our chair said. Her experience in central office was also very helpful at times with historical recollection because she saw it from the employee side versus the board side, which at times was vastly different. Lori has chaired over the years every committee the board has. When I was board chair for 2 years, Lori was the finance chair. As chair, I knew we were in good hands with Lori at the helm of finance. She understood budgets and numbers through and through, always looking at the bigger picture. I was appreciative to have her there as I, at times, had a hard time grasping certain parts of the budget. Outside of Lori's board work, she worked in education at the university level after having worked for the Portland Public School District. Lori was always advocating for all students, as she did on the Board of Education. Through her work, Lori saw the many challenges students face to obtain an education. As a result, she worked tirelessly writing grants and working hard to ensure, as the executive director of Upward Bound on the university level, that there would be funds available to continue to serve the students to help them find their own successes. Thank you, Lori, for all you have done. I hope in your next phase of life you will still take calls from your old colleagues. I will still be relying on your recollection, but also your infinite wisdom. I wish you the best and look forward to seeing you work to become the next State House of Representatives for your district. We know you'll be a strong education advocate. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Does any other board member have anything to say? Mr. Balfans?
Just want to comment a little bit on Lori's passion for this work. I first began to work with Lori as I campaigned for this seat here. She was kind enough to show me around her district in Peaks Island. We went door to door meeting people, and we spoke to people about issues. And on porches in front of people, we disagreed on issues as she campaigned for me. And I took that was her passion coming out. You know, she was so focused on the issues and the policies and these complex issues that this board has to try to solve, that it was coming out, you know, on the porch in front of people. And it would continue to come out over coffees and in board meetings. And so, you know, Lori can passionately explore these ideas and these problems, but she made sure to check in with people because she knew that she was on the other side of these disagreements. There are colleagues, there are friends, and she made sure to check in with people. So, Lori, thank you for the passion that you brought to this work. Thank you for serving your district so well, the Portland Public Schools in the city of Portland. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Balkins. Ms. Victor?
So I apologize in advance to my fellow school board members who have heard me say this so many times, but it's because it's with such heart that I say that my biggest surprise in my first year on the school board is how much I have loved working with Lori. We didn't necessarily see eye to eye together before I was on the board. Roberto put us on 3 of the same committees. We're also on an additional committee together, so we serve on 4 committees together. And I have learned so much from Lori, have benefited from understanding and seeing her perspective and learning from her experience. And I have become a better board member because of her, and I'm very grateful to all of her work over the years and really look forward to continuing to hear from Lori. I surely will call on her and ask for her her thoughts on the issues that we face. And it's just been such a joy to not necessarily see that you're going to be able to work so well with someone and then to have that experience. Whether it was on pre-K or other issues, the 2 of us dug in, and I think we did great work together, and I am so grateful for that. So thank you for all you've done, and I look forward to continuing to work with you, but in a different capacity.
Thank you, Ms. Victor. Is anyone else? Ms. Bondo?
I think I just want to not repeat, just to try to say thank you. Thank you for being with you for a year. You taught me a lot, because when we spend time to share when I decided to run for the school board, I think we spend a lot of time to talk about values. We spend a lot of time to value people of color, the immigrant that I do represent, about how the equity should be balanced through the system, to the education system. And also as a mom, and your passion for the Peaks Island that I do represent also. So you taught me a lot to try to stay who I am and just to work with my heart and to believe about the public school that we are believing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Bondo. Anyone else? Mr. Atkinson?
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to just talk about preparedness. Lori, you are so prepared for everything, and you set that bar really high. And I can remember our first meeting when I was still campaigning. You came with the Sebago Technics report and just dropped 500 pages of this on me. And I said, okay, this is going to be, the bar is up here. And you demonstrate that every day when you show up prepared to talk about each of the topics on the agenda. You set the bar very high, and I know that I wouldn't be the board member that I am today if it were not for that expectation. So thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Barrow?
So we had an outgoing reception for Lori a week ago, and at the time I wasn't thinking that I would have to make 2 statements. So forgive me if some of what I say tonight is a bit of a repeat from last week, but when I came onto this board 6 years ago, I already had kind of a special relationship with Lori because she and I had served on the Charter Commission back in 2009. And during that time, her dedication to education was apparent. We did some things in that process to elevate education in the city, including to change the name of the school committee to the Board of Public Education, to raise school board member compensation so that it was in parity with the city council. And most importantly, Lori's words are actually enshrined in that document in the preamble to the education section of the city charter. And I think that is a testament to how she works so hard to make sure that everybody in our community is living up to the ideas of education that we put forward and the importance that it brings to the whole community. She has done she's been involved in every aspect of this board, in some of the most important work that the board has done in the 9 years that she's been with us. And a lot of that has been in the area of finance and operations. She's been imperative in those areas. And the thing that I appreciate most about Lori is her sense of principle and conviction. No matter whether you agree with her or not, you can never argue that she believes in the way that she puts forward her vote. So I would also note that personally, Lori, you've always been a supportive figure for me, and I hope that you could say the same about me. I look forward to still continuing to work with you, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from me shortly, but I know I've said this to you 100 times already, but I'm going to miss you greatly. Thank you for your service.
Anyone else? Ms. Morioni?
So Lori and I have served together all these 9 years, and as many of you have said, if there's anything Lori does extremely well is to research some more to be prepared. And oftentimes we came at it different ways, and we found ourselves sometimes at odds, but then we would always remind ourselves we're doing this for our students, for the community, the purpose of our work. And I just want to thank you for always making sure, bringing us back to our purpose and why we are here, and ensuring that we're not only looking out for those that can pay taxes easily, but also those that might have a difficult time paying the tax burden of education. So I will miss that. I want you to keep track of us, make sure that we are staying measured in our approach, particularly in the finances. And I do wish you well. I know you're beyond to greater things, but please keep in touch with us. We will need your voice still. Thank you.
I know that we have a few guests that specifically asked me if they could speak today. So I'm not sure who wants to go first, but I know Councilor Costa and Mayor Snyder wanted to say a few words. Come right up to the podium, please.
Yeah, we don't actually know how it works from back here, so bear with us.
I do.
Yes, Kate does. You'll forget soon enough.
It's good practice, though.
Yeah.
Seeing it from the other side.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing us to speak quickly. I just wanted to say, as many of you know, I was on the school board for a long time with Kate, with Marnie, with Sarah, and with Lori. And it's always seemed to me kind of odd that we don't always do a good job of reminding people in public settings that although we may have changed roles or come on the board, come off the board, we don't stop being colleagues. And I think sometimes it's important for all of us to remind the public of that, and also to give credit to where it's due. Lori and I spent 4 years together on the board. We were direct colleagues for a long time, not simply as board members, but as people working on a similar set of issues. And we've continued to be colleagues in the time since I left the school board. Lori, you have continued to be one of my most trusted colleagues, someone that I know that I can talk to about any issue, no matter how difficult, someone that I have always enjoyed working with, even if we don't always see eye to eye. And I think the relationships that all of us have are built on the foundation that we all know that we can trust one another. We all recognize that we're trying to reach for the same goals, and we're all trying to do what we can to make our community better and to make our schools stronger. And there are few people that I have been privileged to work with that demonstrate that more than you do. As has already been noted, this is not the only thing that you have ever done to show your dedication to the city. Lori has been staff in City Hall. She's been staff for the school department. She's been a charter commissioner. She's been a school board member. And that's an extraordinary record. But for me personally, again, I think the The most important thing that I can call you is a friend, and you will be sorely missed over the coming years. We know that this is an exciting time for you personally, and we wish you all the best in that, but you will be missed. So thank you.
I'll keep this brief. I've spoken a lot today, but I wanted to take this opportunity, and thank you for that, to say thank you to Lori for your service. And without repeating everything that everybody has said, which I agree with, I will say that your kindness prevails and is maintained. And I agree with Justin that through it all, when you can remain colleagues and disagree on issues but emerge as people who will continue to work together for the betterment of our city, that's a great testament to who you are, and thank you for your service, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you. If no one else has anything else to say, I want to say a few words. I too, when we had our ceremony, or rather our recognition last week, said a few words, and I won't repeat all of them, but I'll say that Lori has had probably one of the biggest impacts in my development as a board member, and certainly as I've grown into this role as chair. Whenever we have an issue going on that I need to touch base with board members, I purposely leave Lori last. I said she's the last one that I'm going to call and touch base with, because she has this ability to holistically look at issues and have the big picture in mind and then ground me, especially when I start getting lost in these very idealistic ways to approach problems. And then we've disagreed quite a lot. We've disagreed in very different issues, and we've approached things from very different starting points. But like I said the other day, I've realized now, not just now, but probably over the last year more so than ever before that, I realized that we were saying the same things, but maybe speaking a different language. And the more that I've learned from you how to listen and how to approach things differently and how to be thoughtful about our work, the more I've learned to appreciate the value that you've had to this district. I think we heard a lot of really, really amazing and passionate things spoken about you and your service, and I hope that you remember your time here in Portland Public Schools as a productive time, and as a time where you championed some change, some systemic change. You remind me often about bringing up issues that have to do with our achievement gap, and recognizing the challenges that economically disadvantaged students face, and how we need to be thoughtful about how, and purposeful about how we direct ourselves to address those problems. And that has been my number one goal since I arrived as this board. And the fact that I didn't recognize that you and I were fighting the same fight until it was, I would say, maybe not too late, but certainly I wasted some time. I look forward to continuing to be a strong partner with you. I hope you recognize that over the last year, I have cherished every conversation you and I have had, and I've taken your advice to heart, and that you have helped me become, I believe, a much better board member. So thank you so much for what you've done for me, and certainly for what you've done for this district. You will be missed. I think we can give her a round of applause.
I can take a few minutes.
You have the floor.
I am deeply touched and humbled by the kind words spoken by my colleagues today, last week, and in other ways that people have reached out to me. It is over 20 years since I started with Portland Public Schools. It's over 40 since I came to Portland, and I think one of the images I carry in my mind comes from my riding the boat from Peaks every day. It's where I met Councilor Mavadonis many years ago. That Portland is one city. It has many neighborhoods, it has many peoples, it's diverse in many, many ways, but it truly is one city. And when you come across on that boat, you see it. And that's an important thing to remember. And so part of what has guided me is that picture, along with, and this is my quote about education, and it comes from Nelson Mandela, which is, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. And that has been my mission. It was my mission when I worked for the district. It's my mission working at USM. It's been my mission on the board. And it's part of what informed the preamble to the charter, which I'll just share with you because I share it with the board frequently, and I just really like it. But our city charter says, our government shall provide public education that enables all residents to acquire the knowledge and skills necessary to participate fully in Portland's civic, intellectual, cultural, and economic life in order to enrich and strengthen our community and our common future. And that's what the work of City Council is, that's what the work of this school board is, that's the work of our city, is building our community and our common future. I know that I have learned and grown immeasurably through this experience. It's part of that lifelong journey of education that we're all on. I have learned as much as I have taught, and I thank all of you for that. It is one of my most cherished possessions. And I want to thank the voters who sent me here, gave me this opportunity, because serving them, serving this city, has always been my only goal. That's why I'm here, is to make this community and this city a better place for all of us, for our common future. So again, I am deeply humbled and thankful for this. And again, thank you.
Also leaving us after today are 5 remarkable young people, our student reps. We use the term student voices, or including student voice in our work, and sometimes we lose track of exactly what that means. We've had this last year an amazing opportunity of including a student rep from Portland Adult Ed on the board. Mr. Axel Samantu has served over the last year representing Portland Adult Ed, and right from the very beginning, he was making an impact. He joined our discussions during the budget season and was bringing up issues and concerns from the buildings that, quite honestly, most of us don't think about when we think about Portland Public Schools, myself included. I remember earlier this summer, while campaigning, in one of the forums that we had, we were asked which of the buildings in Portland Public Schools serves the largest number of students. And I'm going to throw you under the bus with me. Both Anna and I answered incorrectly. We both said, I think I said Portland High School, and Anna said Portland High School as well. Wrong. Portland Adult Ed serves over 4,000 students in Portland Public Schools. And this young man did a remarkable job, like I said, representing that line of work. He fought hard for us to include, or rather, for us to include some huge needs on that school, including reliable Wi-Fi and access to some of the computer lab classes. He was great. He's been amazing. He's really redefined what it means to include student voices in our work. The rest of our students, John Dow has been an example, specifically over the last few months, as he, between meetings, preparing for some of our issues, has gone back to the building, talked to staff members, social workers, his peers, and then he's brought back information that he would say has changed his own perspective. And so he's really exemplified what it means to be a representative and to add student voice for Portland High School. Ali Abdurrahman has been a Deering High School representative over the last year. He's the next person in the legacy. His brother served on this board several years ago. Joseph Inobanza from Casco Bay High School is not here with us today. What an incredible young man. He and I have had an opportunity to bond quite uniquely. You know, I've hung out with him a lot. I've had some really interesting conversations with him. He's a man that I believe we should all keep an eye on. I think he's going to be, all of you are going to be, amazing grown-ups and amazing people to contribute to this city and this world. I have no doubt of that whatsoever. So thank you all so much for your service in this board and for stepping into the arena with us. Good job. All right, so we now will invite Kathy Jones, City Clerk, to swear in our new board members. So I'll have the new student reps please come into the front of the dais. Ms. Trevorrow and myself will step down there as well. Oh, I'm sorry, and Mr. Adam Berg. Sitting in the corner, man.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, so long as I shall continue a citizen thereof, and I faithfully discharge the best of my abilities, the duties incumbent upon me as a student representative according to the said constitutions, laws of the state, and the ordinances of the city.
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, so long as I shall continue a citizen thereof, and I will faithfully discharge to the best of my abilities the duties incumbent upon me as a member of the Portland Board of Education, according to the said Constitution, laws of the state, and the ordinance of the city.
Will the superintendent please call the roll for the 2019 and 2020 board?
Mr. Atkins?
Here.
Mr. Atkinson?
Here.
Mr. Balfons?
Here.
Ms. Bondo?
Présente.
Mr. Burke? Ms. Figdor?
Here.
Ms. Morioni?
Here.
Ms. Thompson?
Here.
Ms. Trevorrow?
Here.
Ms. Brown? Ms. Casiel-Regis? Mr. Casiel-Regis, sorry. Ms. Habib Sai? Mr. Parrott? And Ms. Yangala? And Mr. Rodriguez.
Presente. Welcome. We'll now move to the election of the Portland Board of Public Education Chairperson for 2019 and 2020. We now move for the election of the 2019-2020 Portland Board of Public Education Chairperson. Do I have a motion for a nomination? Ms. Thompson. Is there a second? Ms.
I have to first say who it is.
That probably would be appropriate.
I'd like to nominate Roberta Rodriguez.
Do we have a second? Ms. Figdor. Would the nominator please speak to the motion?
I would love it. I have nominated Roberta Rodriguez this evening to continue to be the Board of Education Chair for the 2019-2020 year for many reasons. Roberto has just finished his first 3-year term of the board and was reelected for another 3-year term as an at-large member this election cycle. As an individual board member, I've seen great growth in Roberto over his 3 years, as well as this past year as board chair. He has worked hard to listen to all perspectives, whether he agrees with them or not. At times, he has altered his thinking on an issue after hearing from others and understanding that there are many ideas and thoughts that we all bring to the table. Roberto has represented the board well in his community outreach. It is very challenging as a board member when you hold a full-time job on top of your board service to find time to fit the many happenings in. Roberto works extremely hard to be as present as possible. In speaking with my board colleagues about nominating Roberto to be board chair for a second year, I asked them to provide me with some key words in how they would describe Roberto. Here's a small sampling. A man who works hard to better this city, has gone above and beyond to help the student representatives. This was right from the students, but observed by all. Appreciated time spent with students reflecting on the board work. Champion for student voice. Listens. Moral compass grounded and focused. Insightful, progressive thinker, dedicated, passionate, caring, leads with integrity, enthusiastic participant. On behalf of the board, we would like to extend our thanks for all of your work this year, Roberto, and look forward to another good year.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Are there any questions on the motion? Seeing none, is there any public comment on the motion? My wife's here, so thank God. Seeing none, is there any further board discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of appointing Roberto Rodriguez as Portland Board of Public Education Chairperson for the 2019 and 2020 year, please indicate. And that's unanimous. Thank you. Next, we'll have Quinlan Chatwick is a 3rd grader, Blessing Tita, 4th grader, and Lydia Ivers, 5th grader of Peaks Islands Elementary School will now join us at the dais to read the Portland Creed. Come right up here to the mic.
I am a citizen of Portland, of Maine, and of the United States. It is my right and my duty to make an honest living and to be comfortable and happy. It is my privilege and my honor to help others to secure these benefits. I will work hard and play fair. I'll be kind to all, especially to little children, to old people, to the unfortunate, and to animals. I will help to make Portland a clean, beautiful, law-abiding city. These are the best service I can render to my city, my state, and my country.
That's always the best part. Next, we'll now enjoy a musical interlude performed by violinist Graham Ganter of Deering High School. I'm sorry, from Portland High School. Sorry. For my remarks, I have a few words I wanted to share with everyone. Fellow board members, I'm honored that you're allowing me to lead this board once again. A year ago, when this board entrusted me with the role of chair, I stood here and I told you about myself, my name, my family, and I shared some parts of my culture with you. I've kept talking and working since that day, shaping this role to fit who I am, figuring out how I fit into the work of this board. I've tried to use this position to empower others, to help us all continue to take ownership of our work and remain deeply engaged and committed to achieving our overarching goals. Through that process, I've had the pleasure of getting to know all of you better, and I've been able to to appreciate how each of you have helped me develop as a leader in this district. I hope I've been able to project, in one way or another, how each of you have impacted me. While you all bring so much to the table and contribute in so many different ways, some of the attributes I give each of you credit for that have helped in my personal development include Ms. Thompson's institutional knowledge, Ms. Morione's thoughtfulness, Ms. Trevorrow's cool, calm, and collected approach, Mr. Balfan's business-like precision, Ms. Davis' ability to remain grounded in reality, Mr. Atkinson's sincerity, Ms. Bondo's commitment to equity, and Ms. Victor's passion for our kids. Of course, there's more to this board than us old people. We're fortunate to have 5 positions for our students to sit at the table with us and join our discussions. Continuing to meaningfully include student voices in the board's work has been one of the most rewarding parts of my time here so far. I love these young people, and I can easily see the potential they all have to strengthen Portland Public Schools. Student reps, you all inspire me, and you give me hope for the future. What better way to remind this board that our work should always be centered on what is in the best interest of our students. There's also something that only I can add to the equation, and that's authenticity. We're all individuals, and we all have different experiences in life. They shape who we are and our values. I feel that authenticity is linked to equity, which we all know is one of the Portland Promise goals. We could say it's the centerpiece of our strategic plan. and hence why I acknowledge authenticity as a critical part of my leadership style. I aim to be straightforward and honest with this board and our community because I believe that change is a process and it requires truth. This board has changed since I joined it in 2016, not only in its composition, but in its dynamics. Because of what we all have contributed over the years, I am proud to say that we are currently an effective board. Looking at the year ahead of us and the goals we have set for ourselves, for the superintendent, and for the district as a whole, my hope is that we remain effective. We face serious challenges once again, expecting another year of decreased state funding that we're predicting could mean anywhere from a $7 to $8 million gap for our FY 2021 school budget. And as I said 2 weeks ago in the State of the Schools address, this is a challenge. Yet it is another case where we are asking everyone to see this as a challenge not just for Portland Public Schools, but for the entire Portland community. We must figure out how to not only support our current level of education, but to improve it so that we can meet our Portland Promise goals while at the same time being cognizant of Portland taxpayers. Another key part of that address was suggesting to our community that we reframe the message of how we address the persistent achievement gap by recognizing the opportunity gaps in the lives of many of our economically disadvantaged students. To view the many challenges that our students and their families face every day in their lives outside of the school buildings and how that may prevent many of them from taking full advantage of the great educational experience that the Portland Public Schools offers. That suggestion for reframing the discussion was not only meant for the community members, but for this board, for the city council, and all district staff. I don't have all the answers. I don't expect any one of us to have them, nor do I expect there to be a singular answer for such a dynamic problem. I'm here to be part of the solution, and I'm all about mixing things up, trying new approaches, putting together the old with the new. To quote hip-hop great Jay-Z, just know that I chose my own fate. I drove by the fork in the road, and I went straight. I'm excited about what this board can achieve this year and look forward to working with all stakeholders to find solutions to our problems, to build on our successes, to maintain high expectations for our students, support the many great educators and administrators in our buildings, and remain strong partners with the superintendent as we navigate the road ahead. Thank you, fellow board members, for trusting me once again to fill the role of chair. Now let's get to work. Thank you. I wanted to be the first chairperson to quote Jay-Z. Pretty sure I was. Is there a motion to adjourn the 2019 and 2020 Portland Board of Public Education inauguration? Ms. Thompson, second by Mr. Balfans. All those in favor? It's unanimous with the students voting with a majority. We've adjourned at 4:52 p.m. Thank you.